All right, so on this side of the room, you heard these are accredited businesses in the trades. On the other side are consumers. We have a soda, we're gonna start, here are the rules, and this is the why, okay? Somewhere. That's it, the duct tape, I need the duct tape.
There's some seats up here too.
So you guys on this side, do you have clean duct tape or dirty duct tape? Makes me look like I'm working for a living. This is about 40 years old, I found it in my garage. I do nothing with duct tape. But today, the whole theme is duct tape means this side of the room first will be all duct tape. Now, we hope to not have to duct tape anybody across the mouth, okay? You're just gonna listen. No emotion, no like, that's not true, just listen. Take it easy, blood pressure low, just listen. It's on the back of my jacket, so I remind you that we will get this dirty tape out, or we will go to the famous Crystal over there. She's got politically correct, nice, clean, colorful tape. And I don't think we're gonna need it, but again, this is about listening. This came about, you guys that are accredited. I was on the board of the directors for a number of years with Mark Binstock, and I worked at Haley. I was in the car business. I clearly did not understand BBB.org. Clearly. Spent a lot of money on it, made investments, donated to Tom Gallagher in his events. I had not a clue what I was doing. I just did it, right? I was on the board, I just did it. Because it seemed like the nice thing to do. I took the job 3.5 years ago, and I'm not here just to hang out, and I'm here to make a difference in our community. So this idea came about a year and a half ago. I said, what if we took every industry, I was gonna start with the car business, the obvious one, and have consumers on this side and the dealers on this side, car mechanics, tire shops, to really listen to this side of the room. So it took me this long to get this courage up to do this conversation. You guys are the first, okay? We're gonna record it on the owl. The owl is right in the center of the room. It'll pick up your volume, but we really want you to use the microphone when you're speaking because we're recording it and we're gonna share it to consumers and other tradespeople, people that are not accredited, storm chasers, whatever you wanna call them, we're gonna share this information. And it's about entering a marketplace, spending money with all of you and not understanding what you do for a living. That's a natural, okay? If I go to a doctor, I don't exactly understand what the doctor's gonna do. If I buy marketing dollars with Channel 6, I clearly do not know what to expect with my ad dollars other than I'm gonna spend money and I'm gonna make millions. I spend 2,000 and I wanna make 100,000. Can that happen? No. Not quite. But we dream, right? We all dream. So that's what this is about. Evie is our director of Ignite. She is going to ask the questions. You're probably going to see them on a big board also. They will not go up there. So on the board there, but we'll read them because some of you probably have eyesight like me. But all we're going to do, you get 1 minute to answer. Our timer is?
Josh.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, Josh, very easy. So
Josh is multitasking.
you're gonna get 1 minute to answer. You're gonna ask the question. I'm gonna go down the aisleway with the mic. I'll control that, and Evie's handling the conversation. Once we get done, 1 minute each answer. You guys just gotta suck it up and listen. Just listen and make notes. Then at 30 minutes, we're going quick here. 30 minutes, we're gonna switch. We're gonna ask you guys questions, and you guys are gonna put duct tape on and just listen. Okay? At 2 o'clock, we're just gonna have a conversation. Some of the staff is gonna make notes. You guys should make notes. If there's 4 or 5 things that somebody says that we wanna go back and revisit, let's do that for a half hour. Everybody clear on the ground rules? Easy? Easy, easy. We have, I just introduced very quickly, our delegate David Owens is here, and he's in the 57th district, delegate right here. And he's here as a consumer because he's been in the building trade for decades, and so he has a little knowledge, but now he's gonna answer maybe as a consumer, because he's been out of it a few years. So we'll see what happens. Go ahead, Ed.
All right, so let me know if you guys can hear me all right back there. Yes. Wonderful, okay. I'm a lot more soft-spoken than Barry is, but I'm gonna try my best today. So like Barry said, we're gonna start with the consumers. You all are gonna answer the questions as best as you can. And then Barry will probably pass the mic around that he was talking into. Just a quick tip with that particular mic, make sure you hold it up pretty close to your mouth. It doesn't work as well as these do, they're not as sensitive. And we wanna make sure everyone on this side and back there can hear you clearly. All right, so Barry kind of went over the ground rules a little bit, 60 seconds, mic close to your mouth, use your outside voice if you'd like to, but more importantly, have fun. All right, so the consumers, what negative experiences have you had during a home project? Were your concerns addressed, why or why not?
Raise your hand on this side again, I'd like to answer.
I recently had a little wiring problem with my exterior lights and had another company a few years come out, they fixed it, there was some bad wiring or whatever, they got it replaced. It happened again about 2 months ago, and another company came out, was looking at it, and pretty much came to the conclusion that the wire had to be replaced, like from where it started all the way back down. Just wondering, was that the right answer, or could that have been maybe done differently? I mean, the other company 2 years ago, because it's all these spotlights that go down the driveway, they found it, and so they replaced just that wire, but just was curious, should I have gotten another opinion, or is that kind of normal? Or I know there's more circumstances, but that's what I'm saying.
Good answer. If you guys want to respond to that at 2 o'clock, write down the comment. If you want to respond to Jim as his name, we'll respond at 2 o'clock. Anybody else on this question?
Had a house with skylights, and we had a water leak in the house. I shouldn't have said skylights, that was the problem. But anyway, they could not figure out where the water was leaking in the roof, so it was flooding our family room by the French doors. And it turned out, we had several people come out and try to figure out where it was coming from, and it was from the kitchen in another room. There was no flashing on the skylights, so it was leaking across the roof into the family room. And the French doors was leaking too, because they built the deck outside and it was out of code from what we understand. So that was another issue as well. And the builder was not, I won't go into who the builder was, but they were not helpful at all.
There's a car, sunroof, I can definitely answer that question. Skylights, I'll let you guys do that later on. Anybody else? Jay?
All right, so hopefully the contractor that she was talking about is not here today. But my biggest annoyance with contractors has just been getting a phone call back. First off, go through a whole list of people, call them, leave messages, etc. Get no call back, and no show when we've scheduled an appointment. That's happened several times, so that's all I guess.
Good. Anybody else for that question on the side over here? Anybody? Nope. Next question, Eddie. Guys like our vibe board? This is a big hit. Any corporations that need some ways to communicate?
It does a lot more than just show off a PowerPoint,
Yeah,
I
we just
promise.
bought this thing. It's called Vibe. They're all over the internet. Go ahead.
They're a lot of fun, but one of the things that you can do is also record up here, so that's really cool. What could have made the process better, and what resources do you wish you had prior to contacting those contractors?
Anybody? Process is all good? Good? It's good.
How do you choose who you hire? Do you look if they're BBB accredited? Are they licensed? Are they insured? Do they offer cash discounts? What's the final process look like for you guys?
I'll answer that, Barry. I know I'm a BBB employee, so I'm supposed to say BBB accreditation is number one thing. But number two is something that I really like about living in Richmond. Almost every contractor I use, whether it's my mechanic, my HVAC people, my lawn people, irrigation people. The cool thing about Richmond is that almost everyone who lives in Richmond is from Richmond. I always say I moved down here from the Washington DC area, and the first thing anybody asks you up there is, when they meet you, what do you do for a living? Down here, the question is, where'd you go to high school? Which is awesome because I can pick up the phone and have a mechanic, have an HVAC person, and I get my advice from people who were born and raised here and probably know half of you. So that's a cool thing about living in Richmond.
Very good.
Usually it's from another person that is doing work in the house. So it's very important to have friends in every field, because even though you can pick 3 of them and interview and see which one, but if you have, oh, I know these 3, the people will follow them. Because hopefully, originally, the first person that is giving advice is a good one. So word of mouth and between contractors.
Anybody else?
Barry, can I put my 2 cents in it?
You get 3, you got the microphone.
So when I bought my first house, I bought it in Charlottesville, Virginia. And the first issue I had was with my washer and dryer. So I'm from Harrisonburg, Virginia, not that far from Charlottesville. I called my dad and I was like, I don't know what to do, I have a problem. And he's like, well, Google it, look somebody up. And I was like, no, I've got sucker written on my forehead. You can see it a mile away. So when I first started here, and Barry was interviewing me and I got to know the BBB a little bit more, I said, oh, BBB is like calling dad. You trust your dad's opinion, you trust BBB's opinion. So that's how I saw it.
I say to choose by, I personally choose by, I look up licensing information. So if your license is good and you have no complaints with the court, I'm okay with that. It's more of a quantity over price. So I don't care if you're gonna offer a cash discount. I'd rather have good quality work than not.
In the past was by referrals. If my neighbor has someone do some work for them, like power wash or asphalt and paving, I would ask them who they use. Unfortunately, a lot of these guys don't have any information on their trucks, so you have to hunt them down. But since working at BBB, I definitely will look under bbb.org for licensing, but have the labels on the trucks, so you know who you are.
I would also add to that, reviews, I mean, those are really important. People look at that, especially if it's a category you're not used to, you're not familiar with it. Definitely referrals, I think that's pretty solid. My neighbor had a tree come down and ended up using his guy, do some stuff for me, so definitely referrals and reviews I would work on.
All right, go to the next question, but in the meantime, as I be switching, give people a chance to think. So I go to a lot of outreach for accredited businesses and the consumer with Triad. Ed is now doing it. And Triad is all the seniors, and we go out and talk. And I tell the story about when somebody knocks on your door and they say, hey, we can put a roof on your house after this hail damage for $10,000 versus $25,000. And if you pay me cash or a credit card, we'll do it on the, down low. You know what that all means, right? We're gonna do it down low. That means there's no contract, there's no checking anything. It's happening daily in our community. You all know on this side of the room, I believe you're very familiar with it. And we can call them storm chasers or whatever. We'll get to this later on for the business owners, but it's something consumers need to be aware of. And it's out there all the time, and we see complaints about that all the time. And once you give them a gift card, they're never coming back.
What do you wish professionals better understood about your expectations?
Expectations of getting work done at the house.
We usually have faith on the person that we hire to do the job, but it's good if you really have a contract and you let me know in writing, this is what we're gonna do, this is what we're gonna do, because otherwise it becomes he say, he say. So, and usually you cannot prove it, you know? So it's better to have everything in writing, and then if I make, oh, I need that too, then you say, okay, but that one is now in the contract, it will be this much. So everybody is happy.
What's that?
That's true.
It's 10,000.
What's that?
That's the new thing, 10,000 a day.
Oh, I used to be, I forgot. Seemed to be in those days.
So I bought my first little house and ripped it down to the studs, renovated it. And one thing I wish people understood better is that my timeline, right? So I get y'all have a timeline, I work in the home service industry, I get it, like emergencies happen, you have to push things by priority. But in a homeowner's eyes, like when I'm trying to get into my house and move in, I wanna know a timeline. And like I said, I get stuff happens, but I wanna know that we're gonna stick to it. And I wanna know that we're gonna get it done together, because I'm paying a mortgage, I'm not living there, right? So that's my biggest thing, is just timeline, like say you're gonna be there when you're gonna be there. If you can't, it's okay, life happens, just communicate it to me. So.
So there's one thing about your image and stuff like that, I just built in Mosaic, Goosa, so Shell is my builder. There's a guy working for the other house builder, home builder, and he's a subcontractor. The guy's running around in a truck that says, you wanna buy a London, buy a Ram. But you see that guy, he might work for one of you guys. And one of the dumbest things if I was a contractor, put in somebody's home, because what do I do when you mess up my house? Do I go out and letter up my car? And talk about your industry that way? So think about that. And that contractor, whoever he's subbing for, or he owns a company, is, I think, one of the dumbest you've ever seen in the world of marketing. So think about who you're putting out there and what you're saying to the marketplace. Okay?
What is it like when your property or your environment undergoes changes? Is it fun, exciting, or scary?
Great question, right? You're spending $500,000 to $1 million. Is it fun or is it just brutal? So, I would bet all you think it's fun, because what you do for a living. I have fun when I go to work.
For me, it was all three. I thought it was so fun. I enjoyed the process, even though it got scary. You know, stuff always happens, right? You're gonna uncover new things. It was exciting because I was seeing my vision come to life, right? Like I'm still very proud of it. I wanted to, you know, tell people about it, show them pictures, and for me, it was worth it, and I don't regret it at all. I'm so happy I did it, and I'm actually ready to do it again.
I'm actually scared, so I need windows. I don't know who does windows, but we should talk afterwards. But it just to go through that and rip all the windows out, and it's just I'm very concerned of just everything, you know.
So my dad owns a restaurant in Harrisonburg, Virginia. It's called the Galley Diner on South Main Street. If you're ever there, go visit it, and you'll see a big, tall Greek man yelling at everybody in there. He's really nice, I promise. But when they were renovating the building, they knocked the whole thing down, they were starting from scratch, I wanted to rip my hair out. Because if you've ever met my dad, you'll know that he's a very particular person. And the whole process for us as a family was very scary, because we wondered, when is it gonna be back up and running? Or are they gonna focus on getting everything right, or the scary words, cutting corners? So for us, for my dad, it was fun. Not for the contractors, because they wanted him out of his face. But for him, it was fun and exciting. For us, it was scary. But luckily enough, 2 years ago, everything ended up turning out wonderfully, and the building is beautiful. And they did a great job. And they did a wonderful job of reassuring all the women in the household, which was a feat.
Anybody else?
I think for most people it's scary because you hear too many terror stories. Oh, they started with this and then they found a hole and they need to do this, and you start with 100,000 and you ended up spending 200. So it's scary. I would say top one, scary.
Right. So Heavy, you moved on to the next segment.
I did.
Debbie, thank you. Where's Debbie? She was in charge of duct taping you that you couldn't hold your comments. You did a great job. Just the fear of you coming out with that dirty duct tape did something to people. See, it did work. You guys did a great job. Thank you for just listening. I'm sure every single one of you could have jumped into that conversation 2 or 3 times over, minimum. But again, as these spark conversations have been developing, we're not the chamber, we're not pro, we're a member of, they're accredited. And I see 50, 100, 80 business people getting together. And I was there at the Closet Factory about 7 months ago. And you guys had an attorney there, Pro had an attorney there. I go outside, I'm leaving because the attorney side doesn't affect me. So I was leaving. The guy's out smoking a cigarette, talking on his cell phone. I'm going, dude, what are you doing out here? You should be in there. The guy's teaching you really good stuff. He goes, oh, I know all this stuff. I said, really? I work at the BBB. You're not accredited. I'm guessing. No, I don't even know what it is. Okay. Do you use a formal contract? Because that's what the guy's talking about in there. No, I just write down stuff on a piece of paper. Basically a bar napkin. I go, you are going to be lit up one day in court. There's going to be a lawyer and a consumer that are going to set you up, and you're going to be so sorry you didn't go in and listen to this guy. So that's why these conversations, we're trying to get people just to listen and to grow from there. So go ahead, Abby. First question.
So what common misconceptions do homeowners have about your business? Or business owners?
Is that a hand up? You got 60 seconds. Give us 10. Talk real fast. You're from New Jersey, like me?
One of the main ones that you all were just talking about is just communication, that contractors especially, we're in the home exterior business, so windows have, a lot of what we try to do is to counter the bad contractor trope. But bad contractors have the trope of not communicating, they have the trope of being expensive and charging you for more than what you actually need. They have the trope of not being knowledgeable and saying you need one thing, like the skylight was leaking because there was no flashing. There's a lot of tropes out there about our industry, and I'm sure for many of the other business owners on this side of the table, about what our work is doing and what you're actually looking for, and actually communicating the timeline period.
We're doing this conversation. Think about down this road. Do you guys think you're spending in this row $100,000 total in advertising every month in branding and marketing? What do you think, Jim? All of them together, you don't think you're spending at least $100,000?
Everything, sure.
Oh, yeah. So absorb some of these things and build it into your messaging. Car dealerships never did it, just $199 a month delivers, even bad credit. I got the ad down now. Okay.
So I think thinking about process, we try to have a pretty robust process to work through a lot of the things that were brought up. And it seems like sometimes people don't want to spend the time going through our process when we're trying to prevent the common issues that come up. And it feels like, we're asking people to do something, spend their time with us, and they get a little annoyed and they say, I just want a quote. Can you just email it to me? We don't really want to talk about it. So it kind of goes to the communication point. It kind of goes both ways of if we try to set it up where it's very collaborative and very communicative, we need the other side to also want to participate with that kind of setup.
So one of the, kind of ties into the entire theme, one of the things that we have to overcome in our initial consultation is building the consumer's trust, because there's so many other contractors out there that everyone talks about the horror stories more than they talk about the good. So one of our toughest challenges is that overcoming that obstacle of the fear of the consumer, that we're not out to do harm or do wrong. We look at ourselves as a service company. We're here to provide you a service as best we can. And so initially, that trust is what we have to engage in and try our best to build out of the gate. And that's challenging, with social media and everything that's out there, and, bad spreads before good. But not all of us are out there trying to do wrong. One way to overcome that is your due diligence, as some of you've already said, about how you look into a contractor.
I thought you were sleeping. You're on top of it, man. He's watching. Anybody else? Any questions? So just so you know, we're gonna go back to review, request a quote later on to accredited businesses. It is a misunderstood opportunity because we don't explain it very well. And the request a quote is a horrible name for that button, but I don't make it up. I'm not City Hall, but consumers should know about it. But I want to go back to that later on. But go ahead. Any next question? Anybody else, anything? Go ahead.
How do social media reviews and online complaints impact your business? Barry, and then there's one down here after.
I would say that most of us would say that that's huge. I heard in another seminar that, which was hard for me as an older guy to believe, that social media reviews and online reviews are weighted as heavily these days as a direct referral from a known, friend or referral partner. So yeah, that's huge, positive or negative.
Off of what you were saying, I think they go hand in hand, where someone might refer you, like a neighbor or a contractor for a different project, but you're still gonna go online and check what other reviews have said. So you have to balance both of them. It's great to have the word of mouth referrals that tend to be strong leads, but the digital presence also really helps to steal the deal and get the person to actually reach out to you.
So moving into a new house, 4 months in, everything's brand new. Like people are doing upgrades, right? And every neighbor is telling me there's landscaping is specific to this. And I tell you, go to this guy. You tell him, he did a great job for me, go to this guy. You tell her, and she's like, do I believe them or do I do a little research? You check it out and you find out they are not licensed and insured. But because I had that good experience and got a cash deal probably, got it cheap, we are all in trouble, except for you, because you woke up and said, let's check out the company. Nextdoor everybody know about Nextdoor? It's a killer for for-profits and for consumers. It's all a bunch of bogus stuff. Nobody's verifying anything, just like Google. Nobody's verifying anything. BBB reviews are vetted and reviewed. Not perfect, nothing's perfect. And then the other thing is AI. A lot of us are spending time worrying about what to put on our website. AI, if you're not familiar with it, it's gonna do away with your website. So we're putting so much time into. In so many ways, AI, all consumers want are answers to their questions. So as much as we, as business people, car people, don't want to give answers, I was in a dumpster business, I was in roofing, solar, insurance, done a lot of things. And when I wanted to give the information I wanted to give, I controlled it. With AI, I'd be out of business right now. Okay, so beware, it's here. And they just had a Google meeting this morning here, and I asked a question later on of our staff, why does it take AI 10 times the energy to give me an answer than Google? I'm gonna guess it's got to do with what the data is it's pulling. All at one time so quickly. That's what I'm guessing. That's a lot of energy to put into AI searches. 10 times. Okay.
I was just gonna say, we try to survey 100% of our customers for feedback. We don't just wait for the Google review or the social media review, because it is one of the most impactful feedback loops that we can get as a contractor. But I would say that we only get about a 30% response rate from homeowners. So We believe all feedback is constructive, even if people are upset. I would prefer it come in a survey, not a Google review, personally, so that we can try to fix it first. But I would just encourage homeowners to give us feedback. If you're unhappy with something, silence is not productive from either side. So.
That's a good point. I like that, cool. Anybody else? All right. All right, maybe 10,000 steps today, huh? Right.
I just wanted to kind of echo that, we do a really good job of trying to identify where the consumer has a concern, but maybe some contractors are not proactively enough going to the consumer and educating them on how to connect with the contractor. So it is scary for them. When they have a problem, they don't know who to call. And so I think it's important that we probably overcompensate with how to reach us if you have a concern. Because it's awkward for the homeowner to call us and say, hey, I'm not happy about something. But the only way we can avoid it making it to Google or Facebook and get a resolution is to actually know about the problem. So I think contractors, we also have to do a better job of identifying and educating the homeowner from the very first interaction. Hey, we care, but we need to know that feedback. I think we all want what's best, but the communication is definitely typically where the breakdown is. They don't know who to go to, so they go to Facebook, they go to Google, but then they one reason why we do love the BBB is because you all work towards a solution. You actually get the feedback, you get an opportunity to have an open conversation, find out what's going on, instead of just a review board with somebody that we appreciate the opportunity to do it.
Hi everyone, I'm Leo Lance, I'm a design build remodeler here in Richmond born native, so I know everybody in this room, but maybe not everyone. We do our best to educate our clients through their process. That's probably the most time-consuming thing on our side, is informing you of what your situation is, evaluating the remedies, giving you the options. We do surveying during the process of your project. Typically, our projects are going to last about 3 or 4 months. We use Guild Quality and perform a halfway through and then a final completion survey. We use that internally more so than the Google reviews. We do request Google reviews at the end of the job. We're blessed that we have a 5-star rating. We have over 100 some reviews on Google. But it's all about communication. Good. What's that? I gotta talk fast.
You want to learn how to teach it. Go ahead.
How do you build trust with clients before and after the job?
I like it. Hey, so in the back of the room is Mark Finstock, Mr. Fix-It, served, his dad served on the board of directors, Mark did. So a lot of things the BBB can accomplish and grow over time after 113 years are because of our board of directors. I encourage all of you, if you're interested in considering being on the board, contact me, because we're replacing people every single year. And Mark hired me, so thank you, Mark, and I'm glad to see you back. And he got off the board finally, he's pretty happy being off the board. You are, you might come back. Who's got it? There you go.
So to kind of echo what I was talking about earlier, our initial, challenge that we have to overcome with our clients is building that trust because of the negativity that's out there regarding contractors. So one of the biggest things that we've done is just listen. That has a huge impact on, the client, and building that trust is, listen to them and understand at what position and point of their life that they're contacting you to help them. Is this a need because of a family member? Is this, something more luxurious? Is there hesitation to do with a past experience? Is it to do with what they've heard or seen on the news or social media? Just listening and having a fruitful conversation really opens the door to effective communication from both ends, feedback from each other to understand each other's position, and where they stand in the situation, and that develops a path forward. And maintaining that trust throughout the project is just done by doing what you say you're gonna do.
We are a concrete repair company, so there's a lot of things about what we do that people don't initially maybe know a lot about concrete. We're familiar with it, but we don't know maybe a lot about it. So I think we have kind of two parts of, there's a bit of education that comes with a bid from us of trying to explain what is it exactly that we're trying to do for you and what are the long-term results of doing that. And then showing potential customers that it's the same process for everybody. We have a way that we're gonna do this. We would love to work with you and you be part of that same process. So setting an expectation for ourselves and then at every point showing you that we can do that all the way through to the end. And then our guarantee is that we will ask you for your feedback at the end of every project.
Anybody else?
Gary behind you.
Mark, you tried. Sorry, it's on this side. We'll go to you though. Next time, he's on consumer side.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Do you have duct tape for Crystal?
I think it starts early, just showing up on time with your appointment. You know, show up on time. If you're gonna be a few minutes late, call. Take notes during the appointment, show the customer that you're listening to them. When you deliver your proposal, have it be detailed. Be sure to list out the things that they're interested in, don't try to oversell them. Present a solution for their problem, not just what you think, but what they want.
Anybody else? All right, Crystal, we can go to Mark now. We appreciate what Mark did. He comes to almost all of our events. He missed the intro, so go ahead, Mark.
So, yes, from the consumer side, I think the interesting part is listening to the aspects of communication. And right now, I'm in the middle of, we had a mitigation effort because we had a water leak, so we're dealing with mitigation company, insurance company, flooring contractor. And I think the biggest thing is setting expectations on when I'm gonna be there. If there's bad news, deliver it before I call you. Because there was a delay, there was a manufacturing delay in the flooring that you had no control over. I'm okay, but just tell me up front, but don't make me find out later. But I think that proactive communication, and I like the part about your 5-star Google reviews, you talked about measuring halfway through the project, right? So you're getting that feedback, but you're asking for it, which gives the consumer or your customer time to ask those questions in be better detail. So I think that open communication and setting expectations from the standpoint of the customer, I think that is such a key. That's the only disappointment I've had so far is there's a few times that I've had to reach out and grab the communication.
Very good, very good. You finish that?
Given the fact that our jobs extend for several weeks, we have a running punch list. And we're gonna address your punch list right then and there and not wait till the end of the job to address your punch list then. If customers have their punch list, well, I have mine. And what's on your list is probably already on mine. I mean, that's just me, I'm ADD plus, and very attention. Yeah, he knows.
I know it.
Yeah. But it's that level of detail, and that's what I expect from all my employees and my subcontractors, and they know. They call me eagle eye, because when I come in, I've done every single trade that I don't ask anybody to do anything that I haven't done myself. And they know if something's not right, I'm gonna see it first thing. But setting that level of expectation.
Great. We go to the next question, but we're gonna take an intermission in our minds. So everybody debrief a second. So we're gonna go to the consumer side. This is what I do at the Triad events. So you all on this side of the room are my age or older. Pretty old when I talk to these people, okay? At Triad. And I want you to raise your hands. Or you just yell it out. I'll ask you a question. How many of you, with a raise of hands, get their information, whatever they're gonna buy, at Google? Who goes to Google and checks out where to go? Keep your hands up, don't be afraid. Yes, yes, you never go to Google? That's, you're a little good at this, end of this conversation. All right, so all your hands are up, right? It's always 100%, but we got one honest delegate and politician here, and I appreciate that. So let's pretend it's 100%.
Hey.
Hands are set up.
Don't go to that side.
No, you're in between it. So you all believe you go to Google first. How many of you read reviews? Raise your hands. All right, 98%. We're going down because they dropped down. So that's 98%. Keep your hand up if you believe what you're reading. You believe the reviews, yes or no? You believe them? Be proud. You believe, you're committed. You believe what Google's telling you?
Mostly, it's, there's
It's
always
either yes or
multiple
no.
sides
It's a
to
yes or
it.
no. Do you believe everything Google's telling you in the reviews?
Well, I don't, the keyword, not everything.
Well, I know, I added that word consciously. Do you believe what you're reading? So I tell all you old folks that are my age and older at Triad, I meet you at the front door and I have a tattoo parlor on the side, I'm gonna write stupid on your forehead, because we all don't have a lot of time left. Why would we be reading and researching things we don't believe in? Yet this side of the room, and I don't put you on the spot, you all focus on getting Google reviews. Who conditioned us to do that? The car business with Google back in about 1999. And we had CSI and Lexus and Infiniti started that in 88 or 89, and then Nordstrom's and then Home Depot. We've gotten into a terrible, terrible place. These people are very confused what they expect and where they get the information from. If they're not really reading the Google reviews, why are we pushing them? Versus bbb.org, you get free reviews, they're vetted. Jen, vetting process is what?
We verify the consumer, and then we send the review to the business so that they're able to verify that it is a consumer, and there was a marketplace interaction before we posted on the profile.
And if the person comes back, the consumer comes back, or that business owner calls me and says, hey, sorry, I didn't know about this. We did take care of it. My guy just didn't tell you we took care of it. Can they change that review?
The consumer.
How about that? Can you do that with Google, anybody? Does anybody know Google's phone number?
You can change it.
If you get reviews changed, who do you call?
Oh, I didn't have to do it. One of our clients did it just the other day.
Really? And how long did that take?
All of 5 minutes. She put it on and she
Okay.
fixed it like 2 minutes later.
Well, that's a new feature, so they must be catching up to us, because that has not been the case. It's usually there, and they stay there for 3 to 5 years. That's what it is. So we're not perfect. It takes us about 10 days to get the reviews posted, just so you know. So it takes us, because it's a human being and AI involved on our side. So,
One reason why we as business owners are so focused on Google reviews is that our society has changed. It used to be everyone would ask their neighbor or their friends who they use. Most people don't even speak to their neighbor or even talk to them or even know their neighbor. So they're just, we don't communicate that way, but they look at that computer screen and they will believe whatever that computer screen says for the most part. So I'm just saying, that's why we focus to try and get the reviews out there so we can get the information and everyone's experiences, to promote a good quality service that we provide.
Eric, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about how the consumer vets you guys. How do y'all vet the consumers? And have you ever turned people down, and how many of those you wish you had turned down?
It's a great question.
I've been on that side.
I think this even applies to the question that's up on the board about what should a consumer do if they receive a lower quote. They call you back and they move on. So for us, we run into things where people want to, for example, repair a roof that is definitely past its prime and needs to be replaced, or they want the cheapest quote, and you can tell just from your interactions with them. And we try to say, all right, we're middle of the line, so we're not gonna be the cheapest quote, but we're cheaper than doing it twice. And also, let us look at the estimate, look at what you're getting priced for that. If it's a lower amount than what we're quoting, and see if it's actually apples to apples, if they're offering something that's not actually up to code. Unfortunately, we have come across that a lot, or come across the other end where someone says, we'll quote you a roof for $40,000, but if you don't sign it in, it's going up $5,000, and so people have to sign right away, and we're like, your roof is like $8,000, I don't know why you didn't vet this person or question, get another opinion, so I'd say, we always say to get at least a couple quotes, 3, 4 quotes, just so that you can see what you're actually getting for what you're paying for.
Going back to different quotes, lower quotes, when it comes to the roofing industry, we have to understand there are warranties applied. And today, a lot of people think, what does limited warranty mean? That's huge, because they're upgraded warranties in order to get a 50-year limited warranty to the 50-year mark. You have to sell an upgraded warranty. If you do not, and you go with a cheaper bid, and they tell you it is a limited lifetime warranty, that warranty is only 10 years, guys. 10 years out of the wrapper, and that's it. So it's about educating the consumers.
So to address your question earlier, there are a few that we wish we hadn't engaged with. And so in that initial consultation of building trust and understanding that there are personalities that don't match. And sometimes it's best for us to not do business with certain people that we feel that we're not going to effectively communicate with or work with. I would say that's an important part on the consumer side too, is, having that trust and engaging, knowing you can communicate with that person. One of our project managers is, 5 stars across board, but he had one client that just could not come together. And we were so perplexed, we were like, Will is our top guy, no one beats him on top of service, and they just couldn't communicate or connect. So there are times in which we will change, set different expectations or go deeper in one way or another if we're feeling that we're gonna have a difficult time communicating.
As an aside, I'm sorry, what did you do in that situation? Did you simply switch out project managers?
Well, I went and met with the homeowner and just kind of talked about, where the struggle was with, what is so frustrating about this that Will is bothering you. And we got down to it as communication type and style. Will was doing nothing wrong. It was just his mannerisms or speaking or whatever just didn't sit well with her. And so then we addressed how they can better communicate differently to where they can find a happy meeting and finish the project. And
I'm from New Jersey. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what question I'm answering now because we.
That's okay,
So
we can go back.
on the lower quote thing, the big deal there is, the price is one thing, but I always ask our clients to look at the scope of work because price is only as important as what one is quoting. There can be a lot of ambiguity in a scope of work. We have this, we don't have this, we're gonna do it this way, we're gonna do it that way. Very often apples and oranges, and the consumer typically goes right to the bottom line and say, what's the price? Well, we'll look at all the explanation that one gives in terms of what the scope of work is, as well secondary is equally as important as the qualification of the source of that bid or those numbers. Is the contractor qualified? Are they likely to succeed on my project? Are they likely to keep me happy during the execution of the work?
Yes?
I'm interviewing you guys just as much as you're interviewing me when we're having our interaction. I've got like a top 10 list of warning signs. If you get 2 out or 3 out of those, I'm not working for you. I've had people, couples, get into arguments directly in front of me and they start dropping F-bombs, okay? If I give you homework to do and you don't do your homework, if you don't communicate on your end, I'm not working for you because it's just gonna be a disaster from then on. Just this year, I turned down a 300,000 plus contract because it was just a nightmare trying to get the person to return some communication from their end. So I just know I've been doing this long enough to listen to that little voice inside my head, and if I get that feeling up front, I don't need it. You know, I do love doing quality work, and I want the end result to be quality.
So Leo's being very direct, being nice about it. He's close to my wife and I. So I can move on. He described us with T. So from this side of the room, it's okay to say to this side of the room, and don't think you're buying things all the time outside here. It's okay to fire a customer. Let me tell you how true this is in the restaurant business. So Jen will correct me if I'm wrong on most of the story, but the poor Cheesecake Factory this past weekend, we get a complaint, party of 14, it's 7 o'clock. I might be wrong on some of the details, but 14 people, 7 o'clock reservation for a birthday party. Didn't get into 9 or 9:30 or 10 to the room because the other people didn't leave. How about that? So bad hire on those people. These people still sat themselves, still took food home, had a big bill, I'm sure, and now want the Cheesecake Factory to give them the money back. Probably the person running the restaurant at like 8 o'clock, if they were getting antsy, probably should have said, maybe you should go down the street, come back, I'll comp you a meal at another time. But it's the kiss of death. And now these people are land-based and all they want is a free meal, period, and so. In the car business, we did fire people, not very often, but there are certain times you just cannot satisfy anybody. Just on the wrong playing field, so.
What changes have you seen in consumer behavior over the past 20 years?
Some of you guys are too young. 20 years. You're not. Mark, you're not.
Very.
Changes 20 years. Young guys are gonna take a stab at it. Or you're older than I think.
I'm only 38.
Okay.
But I've been working in this industry for a while. And I used to, about 12 years ago, I'd run sales appointments. Now I'm a general manager, but the speed at which everybody wants everything to happen has changed tremendously, I would say. It's the biggest thing. It's hard to capture people's attention, and then once we have your attention, it's hard to keep it. And I think that can be both sides, but speed is everything these days.
Anybody else? Crystal goes, she gave up already?
I'll have to say to this one, 20 years ago, the consumers were more involved. I can't speak for everyone up here, but for us, I would say that if you're 36 years or under, 90% of the time, my team never gets to meet you. And most of it's done by email or phone call. So when we take a project on, at the end of that project, we also do a final inspection to try to get in front of the customer to go through how the project went, how everything, if they had any issues, if we needed to correct. But it's definitely changed over the past 20 years. Prior to that, you could always meet the homeowner face to face. Now, not so much.
I'll say HGTV is the bane of our existence. Your bathroom remodel is not gonna take 30 minutes less commercial, okay? So educating the consumer about the realities of remodeling is a big challenge. Also, over the last 20 years, everyone just used to go to the yellow pages to look for who to do business with. The yellow page, I haven't seen the yellow page in forever, although they still try to sell me ads, but no one looks at that anymore.
I'm gonna bet half this room is still paying Yellow Page ad. So you go through all your budgets. Yeah. They do, they just pay them. The staff just pays it, because they're the Yellow Pages. We've always been doing it. Anybody else? Good answers, go ahead. Debbie, this is the last one, or you getting the answer? Answers.
How have material quality and supply chain delays affected timelines and costs?
Costs haven't gone up? Consumers are okay, just paying more? I think you're making all the money, right? Shingles gone up a little bit over the last 10 years? Just a little bit? Petroleum, whatever's in them. Go ahead, think said.
So it kind of goes back to, as a GC, there's prices across the board. We hit all trades at each different step, and material costs, timeline, it's not COVID times anymore, thank God, but now there are some issues, but then it comes down to communication. Gentleman said earlier, the flooring is delayed, it's gonna be an extra 2 weeks. If we know that and we can communicate it up front, there's a better chance of a, more calm outcome. But if our clients do find out before we tell them, then, that creates a problem. So we're on board with that type of communication. The cost of materials has gone up, labor is more expensive. There's a lot of things impacting, the cost of, construction. And, it does roll into the cost, just like with anything else that we have to provide to the consumer. But communicating, staying on top of that, negotiating contracts with purchasing and everything like that is how we mitigate it.
I think it's the last question.
What issues do you see from storm chasers and the work they perform?
All right, this is a big one. I'll give everybody a lowdown. So last year, 2024, I did a podcast here with BBB. And at that time, I think it was May, and we did a total of 5 roofs we replaced last year. Well, this is 2025. So last year, we did a total of 12 shingle roofs that had to be replaced. And the oldest one was 3 weeks old, guys. 3 weeks. A lot of those homeowners went back after their insurance, a lot of them are insurance driven. They went back after their insurance companies to see if they could step in and help. But Virginia law states that homeowner has the right to choose who they want. It is our job to educate the homeowners and let them know, number one, they should have a contract. It should have a start time and a completion time. It should have an amount. It is the law, but that is not, it's not enforced. I had a homeowner that went back after an insurance company, and she could not, they wouldn't help her. So she had to go back to the contractor. The contractor they didn't have a written contract. She had no leg to stand on. So she had to pay out of pocket. And this is just one of many, many, many. And I know if it's happening, if I see it on our end, a lot of other roofing contractors, the local guys are seeing it as well. But also what they're doing is, what you're not seeing is because I'm doing a lot of consulting work with insurance companies. And I have a question. Has everybody's homeowner's insurance went up?
Yes.
Did everybody's auto policy went up? Did you have any claims?
insurance people?
It is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And these guys, what they're doing is coming from out of state, and they're corporations. They're not companies, but they're corporations. And they're trying to buy up small local guys. And they're pushing insurance. But what they're doing is, they're gonna come knock on your door, and if somebody's knocking on your door to tell you you got hail damage, that's just still a red flag. You can't tell, and all they're doing is selling you a sales pitch. But what you don't see is behind closed doors. So they'll come in, and I'm actually dealing with one right now. They'll come in and do the job. You never really see what the price is because they're going to deal directly with the insurance company. But what you don't see is after the job is complete, you don't have a signed contract. If you have a roof leak or issue, we get the calls. They don't, because I've had too many. They put a roof on and we called and they said they can't even do a roof repair. So we have to go repair it. But after that job is complete, what you don't see is they're also hitting the insurance companies with supplemental fees. These fees could be $15,000 to $25,000 over the original quote that they gave. That's why everybody's insurance on their homeowners, their automobiles have gone up. It's because of this. And it's out there. There's a lot of them that don't even have a business license. They are not licensed here in the state of Virginia. But the consumer has to educate themselves to do their due diligence and check. Every proposal we send there out our insurance information, our business license. You don't have to ask us for that. You already have it with that proposal. So we have to educate the consumer more to defeat this, or everybody's insurance is steady going fine.
Go back and listen to your podcast. You did a great job explaining that. On Virginia Breeze, that's on one of our QR codes, I believe, or not?
Not on here, but that does remind me, don't immediately get up and walk away afterwards. There's a QR code. If you all can scan it and then do a testimonial on what your experience is like, it helps us grow and do these better.
So do a testimonial about this conversation, and not just for our purposes to share, it's for each of you to learn about this tool that I believe we cut an amazing deal that's available to accredited businesses. That you look at the tool, you're going to say, I have to have that. It's going to make my life easier. And the last thing with our two Channel 6 reps, they're an accredited business. We appreciate it. Their general manager, Vice President Stephen Hayes, is amazing, gives back. But the one thing you have to ask these two to do for you when you advertise, tell people you're licensed, insured, and accredited by the BBB. Say those three things. Telling people that Haley started in 1967 became obsolete in like 1999. Nobody cared. Nobody cared about Pontiac being in business for so many years because guess what? They went out of business. So long-term means nothing to consumers anymore. They're getting all their information on the phone. And you can believe it or not believe it, but if you tell the story on your spots, you get them to your website, it answers them, all their questions, you engage with them on your internet, on your website, you will see more business. So with that, we'll go. Does anybody have, how do we want to do the questions? Was there one that we picked out? This side of the room? Or anybody want to answer any of the questions one of these folks had? One of the statements they made? I remember, anybody write it down? You can memories of how would it go?
Well, we're no longer in that house.
Yeah, no, I was gonna ask, I'm not a roofer, I don't claim to be, but a roofer in here could talk about how difficult it is to find a water leak and how far water could travel from its original location to where it's showing up in the house. Yep. I think that would be great for the consumers to hear.
That is a challenge, that's for sure.
That's a big challenge, yeah. Remember I shot? Say on the sunroofs, I can tell you. Hanging in the back, going to a car wash, power wash, do whatever you have to do.
Yeah, a lot of it is just experience. There's a lot of troubleshooting involved. Because with the roof, you don't just have a roof involved, you got your plumbing guys. You know, we've done it before where they thought their pipes were leaking and went down to it and their PVC pipes were never glued. So the water was literally leaking through the pipes inside the walls and we thought it was a roof and it wasn't the roof. So it's a lot of troubleshooting, but experience goes a long ways. But it's the proper training of your team that you have, they have to be experienced. You know, young guys today, it takes time, they can't learn something overnight, it takes experience and years to learn that. But a lot of it just has to do with experience because the industry has evolved over the years. The products that were made 20 years ago are not the same products made today. All the skylights, like Helix skylights, have changed 3 times since 2012. So, and, you know, we have to educate ourselves every day, because every day something changes, but it's all about experience.
Anybody else want to answer the question from this side of the room, or do you guys want to ask another question?
I do.
I have a comment about the insurance thing.
Yeah.
And these contractors going around developments. In my development, over the past 3 years, maybe there's one developer, one contractor, not developer, one contractor I see in our development all the time. And they have come to our door, I know, probably 10 to 15 times. And every time I see this man walking to my door, I say, I'm not interested. And he says, no, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to tell you your insurance company can cover it. And I was like, no, you're not gonna scam my insurance company to make my rates go up. Absolutely not. I, as a homeowner, am not interested in your services. Plain and simple. It's because I work at the Better Business Bureau. I hear all this stuff all the time.
The roofing story kind of touches on me, not because it personally happened to me, but I have a close friend of mine who happens to be a lawyer. And fell for the exact scam he did. They talked about with the hail and everything like that. Roof was replaced. Then they had a leakage problem. And then it was a fight with the insurance company, which went on for 6-7 months. And when they had to have it done, we took care of that. So that, it's interesting, you told the story, the way you told it was exactly what you shared with me. So that's scary at the level of detail that you take 2 ounces into the stick and you go exactly what you said.
A lot of it's got to do with training too, because these manufacturers, we're able to give upgraded warranties. Not everybody can give upgraded warranties. So you have to train the guys yearly in order to do those upgraded warranties. But these guys are coming from out of state. A lot of these companies that are here, they have multiple companies in different states. So they're not just here, they're everywhere. And do you think they're taking the time training their guys? They don't have guys. They're just bringing a crew in, putting a roof on, but you know, when you get down to the bid and people ask you the question, what is limited lifetime warranty? Product knowledge is everything. These guys should know that, but they're not taught that because they're just given a sales pitch to sell, knock on the door and get somebody signed up. And what they're doing is they're gonna knock on the door and get them to sign a piece of paper, basically like a waiver saying nobody else can do this but their company. That's illegal. That is not binding, that is illegal. That is not a binding contract. And a lot of these other guys, I actually read a contract with this lady that ruined her house. The contract was for Maryland. Maryland law has no statute in Virginia. So if she ended up trying to sue them, she would have to go to Maryland. It doesn't even do that. It's not a binding contract in the state of Virginia. It has to have the two state laws binding.
You just reminded me of something that I went through this morning, experience that I'm in the middle of, so doors going into bottles, all that. At one point, the insurance company said, no, we have to have another person come out, I didn't want their company, they had their approved estimator come out. And when I'm done, the guy goes to the house, does all his photos and all this, and he's taking pictures, he says, I just need you to do 2 things at the end of this. He says, I need you to sign these 2 documents. Oh, okay. And I'm, reading through the first part, it's just authorizing you to take a sample, do an analysis on the current flow in there. The second was to sign over power of attorney, anything to that date, process. And I looked at him and it said right there, I said, that's not. He goes, oh, no, it's not binding. I said, it says power of attorney. But my thought at that point was, how many, I'm a little bit older, right? How many, elderly people could be for like a new young home that would have to work all the state. But it was an interesting experience. And that's just like.
And when we go get our contractor's license, you have to go through exam testing. A lot of the questions are in exam, but like in the state of Virginia, like these guys are coming in, hitting insurance companies for something wrong. That's actually illegal because in the state of Virginia, it states in order for us to go above and beyond their contract, by law, we have to write and have it signed off and written change it. Supplemental is really not a change order. So by law, you have to have a change order, but these guys, they don't know the laws.
But the underlying problem is they don't have a license.
Right.
That's the underlying problem, so they're not.
The license, but there's no one here really in the state that's enforcing it. And that's,
They're the worst ones that are court. But what you're telling me is insurance companies are hiring unlicensed contractors.
The insurance company is not hiring anyone. It is the homeowner's responsibility, not the insurance
The
company.
homeowner's contracting with them. How is the insurance company working with these contractors? What relationship, what legal relationship is with that?
Over there at the woods end at this point, because it's not, how are the homeowners, how are they getting so many of these homeowners? They're going door to door, not, and they're not just hitting one, it's all the counties, and it's overwhelming. And what we have found is these guys are literally, they're hiring people knocking on doors that don't even work for the company. They're just saying, hey, if you get this, we're going to do such and such. So they're not even employees of the company, but it's, and then they go back to different steps. So our team, we actually, all of our stuff is done in-house. So when we do a proposal, our cost, everything's done in-house.
And I get that. What I'm running online, actually, 2 years ago, when I got a campaign of knocking doors, got rid of, saw me out knocking doors, that when the hire me to knock doors to. He said, you get $50 if the person can sign up. I said, well, no, I'm not interested.
That's better than 18,000 a year.
Yeah,
Breaks
that's
out.
a whole different story, but that's a whole different story. What I'm trying to understand here now is how can we find a mechanism to stop some of this? Because you can't go after a contractor that is not licensed in the Commonwealth of Virginia, unfortunately, and there's no contractor, so there's no civil litigation available. Although contracts, verbal contracts in Virginia are fine to deal with that. So you've got a person walks up, knocks on the door, says, hey, you got hail damage. What do they get them to sign up to what gets going?
Basically, from what I hear, what I gather is just a piece of paper saying that any other contractor can come in after we sign a sheet of paper. Because they're gonna.
They get an exclusivity.
Yes, and they're dealing with the insurance company directly. They're not even dealing with the homeowner. They're directly dealing with the insurance company.
So they get that exclusivity sign. They call the insurance company and say, this week.
And then they'll fight it for a year. For 18 months, they're on it, how many times?
What the insurance company send out?
Oh, they call us all the time, we go in and do re-inspection, we go in and I have to basically, write a whole report saying our findings, 9 times out of 10, it's not fair damage, but these guys are pushing the issue, pushing until they get a pretty, but
They step to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
We want, that's not good for the neighborhood.
I did it in Pittsburgh for 7 months, Walter and I talked about it. So we had software. We knew the hurricane or the tornado or the hailstorm, when it was happening, like 20 minutes from now. We were already making appointments in which one of your neighborhood, we were getting street teams ready. Go ahead, last question, the last comment.
Yeah, so I actually am a commercial insurance agent and also do like personalize everything, so I get to see the other side of it.
So for a piece of advice that I would give you guys from a consumer standpoint is it's been talked about a lot, but make it a non-negotiable that you will not move forward unless you have licensing, you have insurance documents, and they will give you a formal contract and make sure that it is detailed as you can be. And especially if they are talking about pulling insurance for anything, you do not give them any of your insurance information. You call your agent and talk to your agent about it. Because a lot of people learn the hard way is the second they call in and they make that claim, whether it is valid or not, whether they pay a penny or not, it goes on your record. And the more claims you have on your record, the higher your stuff goes. And that is exactly what we do not want to happen. And we have to have this conversation all the time. Do not give them any of that information. Don't do that. Make sure you have all of the boxes checked before you commit to anything. Because if they are not willing to give you those things, because they've all talked about it, so I can kind of vouch for them. I don't know all of them personally, but you can tell by the way that they have spoken today that they do it the right way. If you have any kind of questions, don't move forward. Find somebody else. It's worth the headache to find someone and take an extra week versus you're out thousands of dollars and it's going to affect you for years. Yeah.
So Debbie's gonna wrap it up with,
He gave me the,
All right, we'll give you 2 minutes.
I'll give you 2 minutes. So what we're touching on, and I love this conversation, because it really gets into the regulatory side. For years and years, we've talked about, and I saw an article, probably a couple of years ago, coming out of Florida. And Florida has an enforcement division with what we call DPOR here in Virginia, which regulates all contractors. And it's great to, be here. We're all the contractors here are members of the BBB, and so we all are trying to better our industry. But what the contractors fight with on a regular basis is the guy that happens to buy a pickup truck and a ladder, and what was just mentioned a second ago, I heard you loud and clear. It's tough for Virginia to push back and say, how do we get rid of the unlicensed or the folks that aren't qualified to do the work that they're doing? And that has been a challenge for us, for the community in general. There are penalties for somebody to say, I'm gonna be a doctor on the side and treat people out of my house and do it off book. But we don't have those same rules when it comes to professional contractors. So professional contractors have the challenge where consumers in many cases think that all people in the trades are doing all the very same thing, and that of course couldn't be further from the truth. And that's an uphill battle that we deal with. And until we can, as an industry, get our arms around how do we start to send a message, how do our regulators at the state level try to start some sort of enforcement efforts to eliminate, those folks that are out there posing as or saying, yeah, I can do this, and the homeowners are the ones that get taken advantage of in the vast majority of cases. That is the challenge that we're dealing with. I don't know if there's an answer to it, whether it's in a short term or long term, but I would love to help bring about that, so that it's a little bit more of a level playing field, because I think that one of the challenges we get is homeowners that somebody mentioned, or Leo mentioned, HGTV. My wife is in the medical field, and she would walk in, to see a patient, and it was, they call it Dr. Google. And the patient would, say, well, I saw, I read an article, and so, I don't care, doctor, that you've been doing this for 20 years, but I saw something. Yeah. And that's the same thing that I think contractors deal with, it's going to be a slow progression to how do we better our industry, and what can the professionals do to protect the consumer from being taken advantage of. It wasn't that long ago, we were in a home, and it was just by a miracle that the house didn't catch on fire the way that a light fixture was installed.
And so it's so many stories like that. So I'm grateful for the BBB to have forums like this, which bring light to these kind of conversations that can only help improve. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you. I'm going to wrap up my section, and Evie will take 5 more minutes of your time. But, so on my chair, we're going to leave my stuff right there. So you guys are the first, okay, in the country to see our new call to action. Okay? So it says, call us, we're a better business. So it's a little bit different than just bbb.org. So you can each get one. Accredited businesses, these are gold. So unless you're an accredited business, you're not getting one. You're trained professionals. And then come in, we're BBB Better Business. So if we have storefronts, you want to put this on the front door. So all I can ask you, when I took this job, this is like a missionary job almost, because it's a lot easier doing for-profit to me. Okay, it's a lot easier. Net to sales, net profit, getting paid a lot of money. It was awesome, right? But I took this job after talking to Mark and a few others on the board back in 22. Yeah, I'm blaming you. No, I love it.
Hiring letter, but you're not gonna blame me on that.
I thank you for it, because this is a misunderstood brand by every one of you. I work for every one of you. I being our staff. You're all consumers. We're consumers ourselves. So I work for you. You gotta get that through your head. And if I'm begging you all to use 3 things when you call Jim, put it in the ad, you're what? Insured, licensed, and accredited. Why are you bashful? This is the worst place in the country for us sharing the brand. We get measured everywhere in the country. We're in, 91 of me in this world. A lot of offices, but why are we not using the logo? We have been very fortunate. Mark Early is delegate, Dave Owen delegate, Brian McDougal, senator, the Attorney General, Jason Ramirez, and then Winston Shears have all taken time to come here and visit. And I think each one of them left here understanding the BBB more than they did when they walked in. Some of you can't, not you, sorry, some consumers can't even spell BBB, right? It's pretty easy to spell it. And it's the way to go. If you use the brand, it's not going to change overnight, but we can change all of this side of the table. If the ads came right out in 3 seconds, you don't have to say anything. It could just be in graphics on your TV ads. Insured, licensed, 3 seconds. And I'm telling you, AI will pick you up a lot quicker than you ever realize. I've been working on this for 3.5 years. I kept saying, it's not as hard as it seems. It doesn't take that long. I believe in 6 months in 42 counties, if I could get out of 2,500 ABs, 2,500 accredited companies, 2,000, thank you. If I get 2,000 accredited businesses sharing this message, consumers will start to look for it, and we will put out of business the bad players, which is a good thing for our community. So I encourage you to do that. And Evie, thank you.
One thing, Jen is going to pass around a sheet of paper. If you all can sign that for me, at the very least sign it, because we are recording this to put it on YouTube. The other thing that I did want to say is, for the consumers that will be watching this on YouTube and for the ones sitting here, you really do need to give a round of applause to these businesses sitting across from you, because they've chosen to be accredited. And that is a big deal, bigger than you think it is. What you do